Hi, welcome to rajxilinive. At the same time, welcome to the video series on understanding the job description while applying for job opportunities. In today's video, I'm going to discuss about the job title in reference to the Salesforce. Either it could be a developer level or a business analyst or an admin or as well as an architect level. As you all well aware about, Salesforce is a CRM application which is used to manage customer relationship management in different organizations, either irrespective of domain. It could be either it is from banking or financial services, healthcare, or retailing and all that. So managing customers. So for that, having some customer relationship management applications requirement is something inevitable. So major CRM providers, especially in the field of IT, is into Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics 365, right? So at the same time, Juho, CRM, etc., etc. There are a lot of service, product-based services are there in reference to the CRM. So one of that which widely used across industries, one of the CRM product is called Salesforce. Nowadays, even for a very long time, even nowadays, importance of Salesforce job opportunities have increased a lot in the industry, in the field of IT. So these job opportunities are 4 different categories, which I was divided, of course. Majorly, these are the 4 major category of job profiles will be available in real world. One is Salesforce developer. Second is business analyst in Salesforce domain, followed by Salesforce and administration. Last but not least, Salesforce architect positions. So these are the 4 different positions which Salesforce job opportunities were lined with. So here I'm explaining about what kind of skill set an individual is required when they're applying for job opportunities for 4 different profiles as separate. So the first one is called technical skills, especially in reference to the developers I'm talking about, people who are applying for job opportunities in the field of development. So Salesforce development. The first and foremost thing, they should have an idea over implementation of APIs, because understanding APIs as well as implementation of APIs is essentially important for any application development nowadays. It's not now, I can say right from a very long time, but importance have grown to the next level now. So design and as well as implementation of application programming interfaces is one kind of skill set, which being a developer, one must be good with. So for that, Apex coding, writing up some Apex code, having idea over web services, so protocols, all that, UDA, WSDL. So these sort of APIs and as well as web services knowledge is essentially required, apart from Apex coding, all that stuff. Along with this, Salesforce application using, as I mentioned, Apex as well as Visualforce, at the same time Lightning Web Components. So these sort of knowledge in reference to the Salesforce is also required for any developer. Apart from that, developing and as well as implementing new applications in the field of Salesforce, followed by it, updating the existing applications is also essentially required, because whenever we are going to provide solutions for the customer, there will be of 2 types. One is existing application where we may be required to add some new features and functionalities to the existing ones, or else you need to develop an application as separate, right? So both will be there, because some organizations assume that they have an existing application. They want you to enhance some new features and functionalities according to the business goals and objectives, what they want to achieve. So that is different. So for that, you need to understand the present system, the existing system which was there with the client location. So based on that, what is to be enhanced? So that sort of understanding is required. So as far as new application itself is concerned, wherein we need to build it from the beginning. This is where generally development and as well as implementation come into picture. Apart from that, one should have an idea over Apex APIs, followed by Apex triggers. At the same time, Charter, Apex data loader triggers, all that. So this knowledge is also required for a developer. Followed by this, of course, Sales Cloud, Service, Community, Health Cloud, different cloud services are there in the field of Salesforce. Not only Salesforce, you can take any CRM product, different products are there, right? So sales is different. Maybe services and communities are different, retailing is different, healthcare is different. So different domains, different cloud services are available. So that knowledge even equally required. I don't recommend that all the domains in reference to that CRM may not be experienced by the person, right? So because somebody may be experienced in Sales Cloud, right? So they may not have experience in the field of retailing or else in Health Cloud, all that stuff, right? So I don't mean that we must be expertise in all the service areas. At least one or two will provide an additional advantage. That's what I can say. It is all completely depends on the kind of product we are developing. I mean, customer we are working on, in which domain they belongs to. Based on that, this will be related. So that also one of the factor. At the same time, knowledge over scripted data loader followed by web services, as I mentioned earlier. At the same time, understanding over middleware and as well as enterprise integrating technologies is also an additional advantage for a developer to perform better. Not only this, some sort of testing knowledge is required. So wherein to troubleshoot and as well as fixing bugs in the field of testing environment, followed by unit and regression testing. Will also provide an additional edge for any person who is applying for job opportunities in the field of Salesforce development, apart from coding experience, all that. Next, Lightning app process builders as well as flow builders, quick action, right? So Lightning component features, these are all even required equally. And some sort of security and integrating of applications, maintaining of applications. So that sort of administrative knowledge and exposure equally needed for a developer to enhance and to elevate to the next level. Followed by this, one should have an experience over analyzing the data using different tools like Workbench or Salesforce Inspector, all that. Apart from that, Salesforce configuration and as well as customization experience like Apex or Visual Forces or batch classes, MySQL and JavaScripting is needed. These integration techniques, as I mentioned in the beginning, like whenever we are implementing APIs and all right, RESTful API is there, SOAP API is there, because two prominent APIs we are using nowadays are two. One is web server, one is SOAP API, and second is RESTful API. These are the two things we are using now. So these two knowledge is required. At the same time, of course, there are other APIs, web APIs and all everything, but these are the two major APIs which has more prominence in the field of application development. So these are the overall understanding over the technical skills being a Salesforce developer one must be good with while they are applying for opportunities. So my advice would be for the people who are applying for Salesforce developer job opportunities, I don't say that all the skill sets, whatever I mentioned here, must be required when you are putting in CV. Because even in the previous videos also I said, it is always better to see what is there in your CV and where you are capable to handle the interviews, all that. So that sort of understanding is required, not just simply putting all these which are related for Salesforce in the CV and going for an interview wherein getting some negative results when you go for an interview, like you're unable to answer, right? So these sort of things which based on my experience have gone through with many people. In order to avoid, I would suggest everyone to be very clear about the kind of CV what you are preparing and how you are preparing, what knowledge areas or what technical skill set do you require, do you have, and what is the which technologies are the skill set you have exposure, all that. So experience and both exposure, right? So based on that, it's always better you to prepare the resume so that it will be more advantageous, because end of the day your resume should be in your control. That is required, right? So I don't recommend that everything relating to developer skill sets are required to put, because practically depends on the experience what an individual carry. Whatever the experience in reference to the technicalities itself is concerned will vary from one profile to one profile. You cannot match the same developer experience with the same this thing, right? So because common skill sets remains constant, something if you can see like Apex coding or Visual Force or Lightning, right? Stickers, right? So these are the Apex APIs, right? So these are all the common skill sets any developer must possess. Apart from that, profile to profile, experience to experience, industry to industry, domain to domain, whatever the additional technicalities required may add on. Because when that's the reason I always suggest people to go through the job description first. So while you are applying for job opportunities, so before that, when you are preparing CV, please be very clear what you know and what is that there in the CV, right? So please compare both while you are applying for job opportunities, so that there are success rate, there are possibilities where you will be succeeded while you are attending for interview in that context. One of the key element I'll tell you, right? So I don't say that that's only the key element. One of the key element was that. So this is all about the skill set which one must be good with in reference to the developer role of a Salesforce developer. The next was the business analyst skill set. So as you know, business analysts are the people who works as an intermediary between business and technical communities, where they need to understand the requirements of the customer, providing necessary solutions for them. That's what generally a BA do. So this is nothing to do with technology and domain, because baseline of underlying competencies for any business analyst is one same, that never changes. But apart from that, what else is required is that skill sets in reference to the Salesforce is required. So I must tell you one thing before I'm getting into this skill sets of a BA one must be good with. There are three things we need to understand being a BA. If you're applying for Salesforce business analyst opportunities, one is about the common skill set for a BA to understand with, to know with, like understanding the requirements, preparing some requirements document, writing some user stories. These are all common for any domain and for any profile of a BA. These are all common things, which is undisputed fact. These are all the things which are required. Second thing is that knowledge over Salesforce basics are required. Third is Salesforce administrative thing, because most of the business analysts will work even to Salesforce administrative activities even. So whatever the position in reference to the Salesforce admin, job profiles and descriptions, as well as BA, some points I say, I don't say every point, some points will matches. So what is that I'm trying to say? A person who is applying for a business analyst Salesforce BA opportunities, please don't confuse. You may not be required to learn Apex coding, all that. That's not needed. But administrative knowledge, like something relating to configurations or something like that sort, right? Assisting in configuration. So that sort of knowledge will elevate your business analyst profile. So BA is more or less something like Salesforce administrative job responsibilities will be added to the BA role, apart from the skill set, whatever is needed. So coming back to the point, these are the skill set for a BA you need to be good with, right? So knowing about technical design specification documents preparation is required. At the same time, you need to have an experience over creation of custom objects, fields, workflows, validating rules, process flow builders, right? So all these things are required. At the same time, you will be an active participant in providing key business decisions by developing and supporting customized standard solutions by interacting with the development team is required. You must be a part of chain management as well as release planning process. At the same time, you must be having experience in understanding the requirements, which is a common skill set for any BA to perform with. Followed by this, you need to have an experience in developing sales and business development operational cadences. If you are working on agile environment in the field of application development nowadays, even agile is also becoming essentially important for any uh, application development, because earlier we used to have traditional models, something like waterfall model we used to work on application development. Now applications are slowly transforming. I don't say 100%, but slowly some people, depends on the interest and depends on the business need. They're transforming towards agile environment, so that if you are a BA, not only of preparing documentations like BRD, functional and non-functional requirements, but it is also essentially important for you to know about how to create user stories and all everything. So that is advantages and that is required, becoming mandatory. Followed by this, you need to have knowledge over administrative areas, wherein to have some idea over the designing, build, testing, and deploying the platform solutions, where you'll be assisting with some Salesforce administrator when and wherever it is needed. At the same time, user acceptance testing, knowledge over that. At the same time, understanding and creation of product roadmap and delivering excellent features. Because whenever we are working on the field of agile environment, you need to be, if you are a product owner, because business analyst can also become a product owner in the field of agile. So if that was the case, the major responsibility and skill set you must be acquire is to have a knowledge over creating a goal and vision of the product, creating product roadmap, at the same time developing some user stories. That sort of knowledge and experience is required, so that is needed. Next, project scope and key decisions experience is required. So you need to understand the scope, you need to define, and you have to write the scope of the project, followed by the key decisions, all that. At the same time, you need to manage access and permissions, like because this is where generally, as I told you, administrative experience and all in these two areas, right? These are the two major areas where some kind of administrative experience, being a BA, you need to have, right? Managing access permissions, user setups, roles and hierarchies, right? So permission setups. At the same time, creating some sharing rules, either it could be project or a global rules, all that. At the same time, creating workflows, right? So these are the administrative activities. Being a BA, you need to be good with. Of course, apart from that, regular business analyst responsibilities I did mention here, because anyway it was known to the people well in advance. One or two points I mentioned, like because you need to prepare some, you need to have experience over chat session. At the same time, requirement lifecycle management, analyzing the requirements, facilitating the teams, stakeholder management, cost benefit analysis, gap analysis. These are the common BA skill sets. Whoever is applying for a business analyst opportunity knows that. Hence, I am not mentioning all that, right? Because those are all were there. But in context to the Salesforce context, if you see business analyst with Salesforce context, these are the major areas you need to be good with, like custom fields, objects, fields, workflows, validation of the rules, process builders, process flows, right? So at the same time, permission settings. This sort of experience and this sort of knowledge is required apart from the general skill set of a BA, one must be good with. So this is all about the skill set of a business analyst in reference to the Salesforce BA. So while you are applying for opportunities and when you are transforming your career into the field of business analyst from another areas, if you want to become a Salesforce BA and all that, please try to keep these points into consideration while you are preparing your CV. At the same time, you are applying for job opportunities based upon the JDs, all that stuff. And the third one is called architect level, where because architects were people whoever is having more than 10 years of experience, I would suggest like those people will become architects. Architects usually from technical background, but these people should have an experience over the architecture as well as APIs. At the same time, they need to have a knowledge over architectural design patterns, knowledge over architectural design patterns. At the same time, they must have an experience over release and integration management and code versioning, something like Jenkins, Blossom, Bitbucket pipelines, all that. Followed by this, they need to have an experience over configurations and code-based customization, something like flows, Apex Pro coding part. At the same time, knowledge over experience over it's I don't say knowledge, experience over customer lightning components. So these sort of experiences and these sort of exposure is required for a person who is applying for architecture. So standard knowledge over Salesforce is essentially required for them, but at the same time, architecture level understanding over enterprise solution architecture or business or Salesforce architecture, because Salesforce is a cloud related stuff, cloud architecture in connect to the Salesforce. So the technical aspects are required. So please do remember, people who are applying for architect level position, those people usually come from technical background, strong technical background, because these profiles are very limited and very important, because highly required job positions architects are, right? So uh, there are a lot of expectations, right? So when you're applying for jobs in reference to the Salesforce architect, so this is the third profile. And fourth profile is Salesforce administrative knowledge, right? Administration. People whoever don't wants to do any kind of coding or something like, and who wants to go for administration, these profiles are better, right? So they need to go for Salesforce administration is always better for them, where they need to have experience over configuration and maintaining Salesforce integrations with third-party systems. At the same time, designing Salesforce Lightning roadmaps. At the same time, standard and custom integrations using different tools like QuickBooks, HubSpot, Jira, all that. At the same time, REST APIs, RESTful API or web or SOAP API protocols, JSON, App Exchange plugins. Followed by this, we need, being a Salesforce administrator, you need to have an experience over managing and accessing permissions, like for the different roles, and as well as creating some hierarchy for the roles, permission sets, assisting configuration. If you see this, these are the 2 points, whatever I was mentioned here in the field of administration, Salesforce admin. The same thing you can see in the role of a business analyst even, right? That's the reason why in the beginning itself, I told you when I explained about the business analyst profile, this is what generally I explained. So because business analyst should have a knowledge over administration area also, not in reference to the development, but knowledge over administration is also required. So standard things required for a Salesforce in reference to the topics, whatever admin developer related stuff that is needed. But apart from that, administration will be more will be more focused towards administrative areas where we have to be focused more on, like administrations, permission setups, right? So that sort of experience is required for you being to become a Salesforce administrator while you're applying for opportunities. So I would suggest please keep these points into consideration when we are applying for job opportunities or when you are preparing your CV. So there are more chances that you'll be succeeded in attending for an, you get a chance to at least attend for an interview. So there you get a chance to explore your skills so that you'll be succeeded in your interviews hopefully. So this is how usually these are the 4 different skill sets which I mentioned you in connect to the Salesforce. Either the first is developer role, second is business analyst, third is architect level, fourth is administrative level. These are the 4 different skill sets. Being a business analyst, whenever you are applying for job opportunities, you must be good and familiar with. Of course, I don't say, as again I'm repeating, whatever the skill set I have mentioned might not be sufficient sometimes, might be over requirement, right? So either it could be, right? So because all these are not required for some job profiles, and some job profiles these are maybe less, right? So because depends on the experience to experience, role to role, whatever the kind of role they were looking for, these skill sets, whatever the knowledge is you have and all everything will vary. For example, if you go for a business analyst profile, apart from this, you may have a requirement in reference to the domain perspective. So those are all happens. But my suggestion would be for everyone is that when you are preparing your CV, whenever you are creating your resume for the job profiles, either it could be developer, BA, or admin or architect level, please be very clear what you know, what is that you are putting on the CV, to what extent you are able in a position to address at the time of interview. So by keeping all this into account, if you can prepare your CV, your CV will have an weightage. At the same time, you will be so confident to attend for an interviews. So I hope this video will give us a clear understanding as well as awareness over the job profiles, job descriptions when you are applying for jobs and all that. So I think this video will help you whenever you are preparing your CV, resume, or whenever you are applying for jobs, all that stuff. This is all for this video. If you have any questions, if you have any queries, please reach out to the contact details which will be posted in below to this video. Thank you.